The Public Service Commission will today hold an Anti-Corruption Day event in partnership with Unisa and the United Nations. The theme explores the cost of failure of governance and ethics in the public service. Now, President Ramaphosa, as Tumza mentioned earlier, expected to deliver the keynote address. Other participants, including Professor Thuli Madonsela, who I believe is with us this morning. I'm not sure if we do have the Prof with us. Prof, hello to you. I've actually just lost my comms to the team, Tumza. I'm not sure if the Prof
Let me
is
just check
with
with
us.
the Prof. Professor Thuli Madonsela, can you hear me? All right, seems like we can't get a hold of the good Prof.
Yes.
Oh, there you are. Good morning, Prof. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. I mean, I understand you'll be participating during this particular event, observing International Anti-Corruption Day. Let's talk about your role and your voice that you'll be adding to this particular event, Prof.
Thank you. Congratulations to eNCA for honoring International Anti-Corruption Day, a day that was declared by the United Nations as a day to combat corruption all over the world. My role today is a small one. I'll be speaking about what needs to change to effectively combat corruption, including the most odious form of corruption that is known as state capture.
And Prof, I suppose that's the question. What needs to be done? I mean, from a governance perspective within the private sector, the issue around whistleblowers, convictions, there's so many areas that we can touch on that need intervention. In your view, what do you think ultimately needs to happen to put a stop once and for all of corruption in this country?
I am going to suggest four things. One is an improvement in constitutional governance and accountability. There are guardrails that are set by the Commission regarding how we should be governed. And I think that we have progressively ignored those guardrails, and corruption has taken advantage of those lapses. So the first thing is to fix the compliance with the constitutional guardrails. And I think there are three. The first one is on democratic governance. That includes making sure that when Parliament has made a decision, people don't quietly, in the dark, talk to the President, and the law that has been lawfully passed does not proceed. And policies that we don't know where they come from eventually come up. Then the second issue that I would propose is the Constitution says we are adopting it to heal the divisions of the past and establish a new society that is grounded on democratic values, social justice, and fundamental human rights. And we're not basing all our decisions on the extent to which those decisions will advance social justice. And so the second guardrail would be social justice, and of course linked to that is human rights. Additionally, I will be proposing two things. One is strengthening the protection of whistleblowers, from just making sure that all whistleblowers are protected, even if they're not employees. But secondly, that they're not just protected from being fired, they're protected from being sued, and also they're protected from loss of income if they're businesses. And they're protected from being blacklisted in a software. The second thing I'm going to propose, which I think is extremely important, is a Venus Commission-like structure that is going to do two things. One, at the moment, to advise government on the implementation of the remedial action from the State Capture Commission. Given the fact that this particular matter was taken out of the Public Protector, and given the fact that the Public Protector is currently being subjected to a parliamentary process, and the deputy's hands are full because she's now the only one. Right. It makes sense to have a Venus-like commission that looks at the entirety of the recommendation. It looks at the president's response to it, and then helps government with suggestions on what policy changes need to happen. Because I do think that state capture happened because there was already systemic governance failure. But the one thing that state capture undermined worse is not just the money. it has destroyed democracy, or at least crippled our
Unfortunately, I have to
democracy.
leave it there because of time. Unfortunately, Paul, I would have loved to take this conversation forward. Apologies for cutting our conversation short. I would have loved to, of course, hear more from you. And I understand, actually, the Commission has started, or rather the event has started, hosted by the PSC in partnership with Unisa and the UN, and the good Prof, Professor Thuli Madonsela there. Due to time, we couldn't continue the conversation.